us through this very quickly. I always say this is something that I can spend hours and days on, but what I want to do is to equip you with the things you need to be thinking about. In the book that you have, I hope that you've gone through the book. We've put some guidelines, keys. But let's start. I mean, we've spoken a lot. Bura spoke a lot about value, value, value. What does it mean? Let me see if you're Toby. I know I'm disrupting this, but I don't know. It's the same thing. Okay, stay and say. All right. So, what does it mean to be a value adding center? Right now, they see us as a cost center. The people that are always spending money, always asking for budgets. What you said about the financing is very, very true. But this is where it is. And this comes again from the theory of change. Inputs, activities, outputs. If this is where you are focused on, anybody that is doing tactics, you're very tactical. Just know that this, if I say that they put it in red, it's not me that designed it. That's where you are. So you are focused on, oh, we need to design flyer. Oh, social media post. Oh, press release. Oh, we need to print. We need to do. Please bear in mind, I'm not saying that these things are not important because we need them for the eventual outcomes. The problem is that we stop there. We cannot connect to the outcomes. We cannot connect to the impact. And I always give this example. So we do a campaign, we do something, and we post it on social media. That's fantastic. It gets a lot of social media views. It gets a lot of engagement. That's fantastic. But what happened next? After they came on social media, after they liked, did they click our website? Did they download? Then when they downloaded it, what happened? That's when we go to outcomes. But we stop here. 500 followers. And they're like, what does that mean for what we want to achieve? Let's not stop there. That's how we move from being a cost center to being a value-added center. So if you're spending time and money producing materials, planning events, events are great. But how many people came? What did they do as a result of what, we talked about in that room? So for us right now in this room, we're happy that you are all here. But we are going to be measuring. They're going to do feedback. We want to measure, did they understand it? Did they take learnings away? In 6 months' time, we go to contact you. Hello, you came and you said you were inspired. What do you do with the inspiration? That's what we're going to be measuring to show outcome and impact because that's where value is. And so this is the big picture within any organization. You have the organization, whether it's a corporate organization, it's government, it's NGO. The organization exists within a context. Donald Trump, when he came and he pulled USAID funding, I don't know if anybody here was affected. It changed a lot in the context of that organization. Like we said in the last session, you cannot create communications objectives on vibes. It has to be in the reality of what's happening within the context of the organization. So if you created a communications plan for a USAID project in December 2024, dare I say you have to go back and say, okay, where are we? What are we doing? Because you need new sets of objectives. Why? The context has changed. What is happening in the economy, politics, the social, cultural, competitive, internal? See, when anybody come and tell you that what comes doing, see, if we do our work well, the professionalization of this work, you will be able to speak authoritatively because you understand these things. It is in that context that the organization derives its objectives. When you were asking the question about the organization not having, they need to be clear because if they are confused, you as comms will be confused because what are you going to communicate? So like they said to you, you may need to sit down and help them to voice it and articulate and write it down because we need a direction. What is our North Star? Where are we going? What do we want to do? And break it down. I think one of the greatest things that we have is to help people to break it down because sometimes like mission, vision, strategy, ask questions. I love to ask people questions. Okay, what would make you by December 2025? What will make you say we've done well? What will make you proud of what we're doing? Listen to the answers that they give you and articulate something. Now, from your communication objectives, you then go to your inputs. What research do I need to do? Audience research. Some of us do not do audience research. We just create plan. Sometimes some people will send me their comms plan and say, where is the research? Where are the insights? What's happening in this industry? Nothing. That plan is dead on arrival. That's your planning and preparation stage. You then move to your activities. What do we need to write, design, create? Are we engaging the media? Then you go to your outputs. What are we distributing? Are we placing things on our website? Are we posting on social media? Are we creating publications? Are we doing events? Then we come to our outcomes. Our outcomes, they are the way that this output, how was it received? What was the reaction? What was the response? Ladies and gentlemen, those two things at the end, I want us to focus on. When we do an event, when we put a message in, did it impact on awareness? Did their level of awareness change? Do they understand? Please know that awareness is different from understanding. You know that I can be aware of something and I don't understand it. So awareness, because we just say awareness, separate it from understanding. Do they really understand? Because it is only when they understand and they can take action. Is there an attitude change? We want people to start using seatbelts. We want people to start adopting a particular method. We want people to start behaving in a certain way. Is there a change? Is there an intent to change? And I will go and talk about how we'll measure some of these things. And then what is the overall behavior change? Behavior change is the hardest to measure because it is not a short-term thing. It is a long-term goal. And not one thing causes behavior change. So you cannot just say, because we posted this, their behavior changed. It's not really true. Other factors come into play, and you must be mindful of that. And then what was the final impact? Did it bring in more funding, revenue? Did we raise more funds? Did it bring in new donors? You should really be tracking. Some donors are coming because of the work that you are doing, but programs will not go and take the credit for it. But it's comms that did it. But comms will just sit down. You let them take credit for it. Did we save costs? What was the eventual impact on the organization? And then we have our stakeholder, the society, and then the publics at large. So going to the foundation of measurement and evaluation. Again, this thing, I told you I was sound like a broken record. What do you want to achieve? Very, very, very important. What are we doing here? You have to be very clear. If you're not clear, then get clarity. What are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to look for more donors? Are we trying to reach more people? And how are we going to show whether we have achieved it or not? So you should be able to articulate, have you done what you set out to do? And the foundation really is the objectives that you set. I can spend the whole day talking about objectives, but I will give us the guidelines. Let us set measurable objectives. But the thing to know about measurement and evaluation, it starts from the very beginning. As you're thinking about the activities, as you're thinking about what you want to do, start asking yourself, how will I measure this thing? And I like to give this common example. How do you know whether you have added or lost weight? Who can tell me? You check on the scale, or what's the other one? The cloth, that fine cloth, you just realize, it's tight, it's not zipping. Those things are called a benchmark. If I step on the scale and I'm used to seeing 65, the day I see 70, are they doing? What's happening? Why? I'm benchmarking against what? The 65 kg. If I wear these trousers next week and it's not zipping, it means what? I've added weight. This becomes the benchmark. What is your benchmark? What would you use to establish that we have achieved the objective? Whether it is increase in awareness, understanding, whatever impact measure, we need to know. And that means you need a baseline. Without a baseline, you cannot articulate growth. Because if there isn't a starting point, if I don't know my weight, if I step on a scale, I will be surprised by the figure. Oh, okay, 70. But I wouldn't know because why? There's no benchmark. So we need to think about it right from the very beginning. Now, there are many evaluation frameworks. Again, this is not an academic class, so I will not go deep, but I really want to show you. And this website, please bookmark this website and we'll put it in the downloadable resource. They share a lot of case studies, information on communications, evaluation, and measurement. I always recommend it. But this is how it goes. At the center is the client. Put your organization there. You start off, you can see organizational objective. That is always the starting point. Commerce people, where is the starting point? Please don't do anything if you don't know what the organization is trying to do or achieve. It's the foundation. Now, your communication objectives have to be aligned with your organization's objective. You will then move to planning, setting targets. Who is our target audience? Who is this thing for exactly? Do your research, segment them, know who they are, develop your strategy, go into what they wrote here as activity. That is your tactics, that is your implementation, your output. So we put this thing on our website. How many people viewed it in 24 hours? How many people viewed it in 1 week? What difference are we seeing in the conversations? And then you're looking at outtakes and outcomes. What outtake means is that what was the immediate short-term response to what we have put out? Did it change the understanding? Did it change or shift perception? While outcomes is more of the longer term. And then impact. Impact is always focused on the organization. What difference has that made for this organization? And so let me talk quickly about setting measurable objective, because this is something that people struggle with. So the thing is, it has to be aligned. If your objectives are not aligned, I was assessing some students, they did some case studies, and I said, this is what the organization wants to achieve. Why do you have a communications objective that says you want to create awareness? And an organization says we want to amplify across Africa, and you are creating an objective for one country, then there's a problem. It must be quantifiable. And we all know this SMART acronym. So you need to be precise, specific. What do we want to achieve? Be precise about it. It has to be measurable. How will you know that it has been achieved? It has to be achievable or attainable. You must be reasonably able to achieve this objective. And I will give you an example. Someone came to me, because I have these one-on-one sessions with comms people, 20 minutes, you can book a session with me. And she was telling me, oh, I've set this idea. We want to do this festival on climate change. I was like, okay, festival on climate change. Why are you doing it? And in Nigeria, we're going to go to all the schools in the 36 states. I'm like, all the schools in 36 states? Okay. And then she said, and she has already pitched it to the donor already. So we're going to go. And this was like probably like in December, and maybe it was January. She was telling me about this. So she told me in December and she was starting in January. And then in October, we now have the festival. I see on climate change. I said, hey, that this thing that you have said sounds like a 3-year plan, not 8 months. I said, why? Climate change is something that people are still trying to get. Oh, something has moved. What moved? Climate change is still something that people are trying to. Oh, yeah, I said we shouldn't touch it. Yeah. Climate change is what? A topic that people do not even know that they need or understand. He said, she said she's targeting Nigerian students. I said, Nigerian students have a lot of issues, challenges, and problems. Among which climate change is not there. What you need to do in year 1 is to now begin to sensitize and create awareness. So your road shows can never be in 36 states in 1 year. Choose the universities, create the awareness, make it topical. Because if you do that festival in October, maybe it's only you and your fellow colleagues that will be there. And there are some people that are really interested, but you are not going to have a festival. And I say, in year 2, you will now be having convenings, small gatherings around this topic, so that maybe by the end of year 2 or year 3, you can go ahead. When you have built your community, the people, you've taken them through a pipeline, then you will have a festival. She was like, oh, okay. It has to be achievable, relevant. Please ensure alignment. You can see this alignment with organization's goals. It has to be relevant. And that's where they push back against some of the things with regards to budget. If you tell them that you need this thing and this is how it will help in achieving our organizational outcomes, you have something to put there. And then time bound. What is the time frame in which this objective will be achieved? Are we looking at 6 months? Are we looking at 2 years? What is this? Now, this is a helpful formula. Improve what? By how much? Amongst who? And within when or what time frame? So, do we want to increase awareness by 75% amongst young Nigerians or young male Nigerians within 12 months? You have to know. The by how much has to be rooted in data. Don't go now put 75%, because if I was going to critique, I would say, where did you get this figure? How? You must know the level of awareness. Remember, baseline. How do we want to increase it? So media mentions, what number do we want to get? Or what is it? It has to be measurable in that sense. So let me give you a practical example. This Secret Hack Nation. What they do is they give food and necessities to homeless people in Australia, and every day they're giving out about 400 meals, 3 course meals. No one I read this, I was like, wow, they're giving 3 course meals. So they have a program funding of $850,000, but there is a funding gap of 12%. They want to increase funding revenue, and they also want to establish new elements that support future sustainability. So here are some objectives. Number one, raise at least $20,000 during May through events and donations within the restaurant community. Can we see how specific that objective is? So it is clear. So it is also easy to measure. Another thing why I always say have measurable objectives, you can see that they wrote during May. So it means that at the middle of May, if we have only made $5,000, as you realize that, I may not meet this my objective, or I have to ramp up my efforts. Because some of us is at the end when we cannot do anything. Or you need to know, and that impact, it ties to the fundraising conversation. They said ensure 200 people attend the gala dinner with a target of 72,000 in revenue. Some of us will say 200 people should attend the gala. Okay, after they attend, what next? What happens? They have tied it to fundraising. Number 3, build 500 engaged users for a new Facebook page for the mission with a 4% engagement rate. That is an output. If we have 500 engaged users, how are we engaging them and what does that lead to? And then enlist one major in-kind partner to support the awareness campaign within 3 months. If you're not setting objectives like this, there is work to be done. So, again, there's more to be said here, but I just wanted you to have the general idea. Now, let's come back to the metrics and measurement. In the resource that we'll give you the link to some documents that have a list of metrics that you can use, whether you're looking at events, campaigns, whatever it is. And this, you can see the bottom part of this, it has metrics for each of the sections. So in your input stage, can we say, what's the first, can someone read the first thing there? Baseline. No, I didn't wrote it. I did not create this model. You need a baseline, your level of impression, sentiment awareness. And how do you get this? Do a survey. Use a tool called Brand24 and do a scanning with Brand24 of your current organization. You will be surprised. When I use Brand24 for clients, they are so surprised by the things that they see. You need to get this insights. You need to get data. What is the share of voice that we have in the conversation? So you're talking about maternal health. You're talking about children. Are you even in the top 10 in the conversations? A tool like Brand24 will help you know what is the level of awareness. Do people even care? Audience satisfaction in pre-test. This is very important for messaging. You know, when people they talk about Africa, Africa has still be Africa is not a country. This thing works in Nigeria, it may not land well in Uganda. We have to test. And if you are not someone from Uganda, then Nigerians should not be saying that this is what we want to do. We have to get someone from Uganda say, hello, this thing that means happy in Nigeria, is that what it means in Uganda? Because you will be shocked that it means something totally left field in Uganda. So we have to do all of this testing before we deploy. It's not that you deploy, they say, pull it down, pull it out. No, we need to pre-test and check, especially those of us that we work in development, because it's very sensitive. Donors are very sensitive. In your activities, how do you manage the reports? Who is creating what? You have to create your own process and structure for the activities that you do. In your outputs, so you've put out things on your websites. What are the impressions? What are the visits, circulation numbers, event attendance, media content sentiments, the immediate things from those things that you do. But remember, we don't stop here. What did I say? So you move in the short term. Okay, your website statistics. Some of you can go to the back end of your website and realize that a certain type of content is read more than others. You should be asking yourself, why? Is it that people are more interested in this? Look at your social media analytics. What is it saying? You might say that your demographic, you're reaching children, but back end, you just realize actually a lot of men view our content. Is there something there? Is there a disparity? We're trying to reach women, but more men are following us. Is this content, is the language more suited to men? When you look at the data, causes you to ask questions. And then you go to your medium term and outcomes. That's when you begin to survey people, do interviews. NPS score means net promoter. So how willing is someone able to talk about your cause, able to talk about what you do, ability to become an ambassador? Because you want to get to a place where the people that you are serving are the ones doing the storytelling for you. It makes your life easier. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we do. But they have become ambassadors. But you have to nurture them. And then trust index. Building trust, that trust index is actually a tool, is more complex. But you can measure some of these things. And then the overarching impacts. So you're looking at if it's an economic project, economic data, statistics, research on the health outcomes, for example. So those are some of the metrics. And we have a taxonomy guide that it's from Jim McNaraman. It's very good that you can use. The thing about metrics is that there are many metrics to measure. You just need to measure the right ones. So remember, the starting point is that we want to demonstrate and show how we are contributing to people quitting smoking. So at the awareness stage, I want to know how many people are actually engaged, how many people are interested in this conversation. So like she said, how many people are attending the events, how many people are downloading, how many people are reading. But beyond that, I also want to look at the conversations that people are having. That's when I will use a social media tool. Is this change in the conversations? Are people now having conversations about, hey, damage of smoking? I want to know that. I'm going to be measuring that. In the intent to quit smoking, these peer support helplines, I want to measure how many people are calling every day. Is it that nobody is calling, are just deceiving ourselves there, or one person is calling? I want to know, in the campaign period, is the volume of calls increasing? Has it plateaued? I want to know. I also want to ask them, what are people saying when they call? What are they expressing as their biggest barriers and concerns, so that I can create content around that as well. In the quitting smoking attempts, these aids, I want to know how useful they are. So I will probably do a survey to know where we are putting these patches and gums. If we are putting them in the supermarkets, I want data at the end of the day to say how many of these patches are being sold. If we're giving them for free, how many have we distributed? Are they using it? Can we see how measuring these things take you to the very end? Now, some of it, like we've established before, does not sit with comms. That's when you go and ask the relevant person that is in charge. I was using the example for, it was for a corporate organization. I was using the example of, oh, you want to sell a car in a showroom and you get the people to the car. How would you know it's because of something they saw on social media? You can create a card. How did you hear about us? You will now have to equip the person in, because of course you're not going to be in the office and in the showroom at the same time. But you have to tell the person, when anybody wants to come and purchase, let them feel this small thing. So for those of you that do things like that, that question, how did you hear about us? If you use influencers and you want to know the impact of any influencer, segment the numbers or the call to action for each influencer. Don't even put them. Some people, you put 10 influencers together. How would you know who is bringing volume? Separate them. Week 1, influencer 1. Week 2, and measure, because then you'll be able to benchmark. Same thing with your media channels. Is Bella Niger, if you use Bella Niger, or is it Business Day that's the best for us? You need to know which, but you can't do that when everybody, you just lump them together. So you might have a phased approach just to test which ones resonate more with our target audience and are useful for us. So in doing that, you'll be able to have the data that you need to make the necessary changes. So here are just some quick tips. Tie the metrics to the outcomes. Make sure that your metrics help you to determine change in awareness, perception, understanding. Don't just stop at, oh, we've increased followers. Don't just stop at, oh, impressions, engagements. Those things only mean something to us. To the decision makers, they're like, what does this mean in terms of money? What does this mean in terms of the programs and the outcomes you want to see? And show how communications has contributed positively to achieve those results. So I want you to be thinking, what metrics will help me to demonstrate the correlation between your communications activities and the organizational results and outcomes that your executives want to see? We do fantastic work, we do great work, but what is it leading to? How is this making a difference? Same thing with programs. If I know programs is doing something, where can I co-create with programs to make sure that I'm showing impact? That is where we're going to be seeing the real value. Now, one of the things I hear a lot, are they doing, please give me a tool, recommend a tool. The truth is that there's no one tool that can help you. Let me just tell you now. You have to use a cocktail of tools. When did I say cocktail of tools? Again, the starting point is, what do you want to measure? I showed someone, and the thing about this conversation, have you tried to check the price of some of these tools? He's like, that is in dollars. By the time you now multiply it to naira, you're like, how will I even go and meet finance with this? So a lot of them, it's I don't want to say it's out of reach, but their cost is actually ridiculous. And the truth is that there is no one size fits all tool. It's not everything that Brand 24 can do. But if you know what exactly it is that you're measuring between the free version and Google, you will get your results. I've created reports. People are like, what tool do you use? Blah, blah, blah. I use a cocktail of tools. That's what I always tell people, cocktail. So what are we trying to measure? Do we want to survey? There's Survey Monkey. There's Typeform. Me, I've used multiple emails for certain platforms. After 14 days at expired, I said, please give me a review. I need to use this tool. Yeah, because I need to use it and I'm not going to subscribe. Typeform. I use Typeform when I want a survey, because Typeform, what's this Typeform here before? It's very interesting, right? More than Google Forms. So if I want it to be engaging and creative, I use Typeform. Media monitoring, there's Brand 24, mention meetings. Again, you need to find what will work for you, what will give you the data that you need. Social media and your websites, Google Analytics, social mention. If you have a tech team within your organization, let them, you don't need to bother. Toast them, please, do we have Google Analytics? And let them get you the data that you need. Reporting or data story, coverage book. Or my tip is, be clear on the information you need and use Google to find free tools. There's so many free tools. Some, they're free for a while. Then after a while, they see people are started using it, they will now put the paywall. So first of all, do the search. Then you see this inbuilt analytics on the social media and in Google and your website. There's a lot of data that we're sitting on that we're not using. Please go to your back end, check the data, check the views. On the pages that you have your resource, your reports, check the number of downloads, check your social media engagement. You will be surprised at what you find. So, just a recap before we take questions, because I see accurate timekeeper. Measurement is a long game. Avoid a one-size-fits-all. And this is my approach to it. When I meet professionals, I just say, okay, you did this. How did you measure the impact? I want to also learn from other people as well. And determine what will lead to the results that you want to see. Please get your baseline figures. How are you making a difference? How are you going to show that you're making a difference? And let everybody that is working on that program understand that. So the conversation about M&E will tell M&E, this is what we need and why. Measure the metrics that matter. Social media following, visits to the websites, they're all good because they lead to our eventual destination, but it's not the stopping point. And the final thing is, make sure that measurement, evaluation, and learning. Learning is there because the beautiful thing about measuring is that you learn what to do and what not to do next time. So for this event, there are things that we've learned. When your feedback comes in, there are things we say, okay, for 2.0, these are the iterations that we will make. These are the changes. You can't be doing everything. So people just year on year, month on month, no data is informing what you're doing. It's not the best way. So you make sure that it's part of your operational process. And what I usually advise is, by the time we finish a campaign, we look at the data, we look at the results. It's the same thing in project management, lessons learned. I have to sit down with the key stakeholders. Here's what we did. Here's what we achieved. Here's what we learned. Come at it with data. There's something here that I want to say, because we've had conversations on budget. We're not going to cover budget today. But if you want to advocate for things for yourself, please don't just come to your executive and leaders and say, I want this, I need this, give me this. Please come with data. Understand data. I always show people, I don't argue. I will put it like this on the board. This is what the data is showing. And for those of them, there are some of them that are moved by what their competitor is doing. Here's what your competitor is doing. I can't remember. There was a brand I was working with. I think I was working in church at that time. I said, wow, look at this. Oh, what is this conference that, it's a global conference that every year, what's it called? Some world, no, the global one. It's, they stream live it in Elevation Church, Daystar, something World Summits. I cannot remember the name, but anyway, so I was like, wow, that time I was working in church. Look at, so fantastic. See the output. No, just nodding. Me that I know what powers it. That's how one day they mistakenly put the engine room of their social media team on their social media page. Like 16 people. I said, great. Screenshots. So next time we say, fantastic, we need to do. I say, yes, it's achievable, it can be done. But sir, look, see how many they are. I'm very sure that one person there is focused on Instagram. I hear said, oh, it took that many people. I say, yes, it's not one person. Because it's true, they want some of these things, but the organization you're benchmarking against, they put in money. Someone you're comparing yourself to Coca-Cola. Do you know how much Coca-Cola is spending on marketing and cons? Are you kidding me? Do you have money? So I come back with my evidence. Please don't go to meet decision makers with just words alone. Go with your proof points. And that's why you need to be measuring. That's why you need to collate data. Sometimes when I was training an organization in December, and they're like, oh, yeah, our reputation is solid. They're good at us. I was just looking at them. I just opened a screenshot. Twitter. I said, it's not me that wrote it. Oh, look at what they're saying here. Look at this. Look at that. And they had to keep quiet. Because sometimes they have a false sense of, but if you give it to them, and because it's not you, they are saying it. So go with data. When I want to advocate for more budgets, I first of all go with something that I've done, something that I've achieved. And I said, this, if you can approve XYZ amount, this is what we can do, and this is what it will need to.